Hi everyone, so welcome to the first video in the series of my ghost stories. So today we're going to take a look at one of the strange things that happened to me when I was a kid. Now this one is not too strange, but as the days go by and the videos go by, things will get stranger and freakier. So anyway, I was roughly about 8 years old, so this would have been back in the 80s sometime, and we was putting these shelves up in my bedroom. So my parents were putting these big wooden shelves. Now these shelves were probably about, I don't know, thinking about probably 10 to 12 feet long, and there was about probably 3 or 4 foot thick, so they were quite big shelves. I had a really small bedroom, so we were putting the shelves up, so I had more space to put my toys, because I used to have loads of Transformer toys, and I wanted to display them on these shelves. So we were having a clear out, and this really weird thing happened. I went to put this thing in a bag. My mum was holding a bin bag, and I had this little toy. It was like some kind of dumper truck, like a little truck with a thing on the back that lifts up to pour gravel or sand off the back of it. So anyway, I went to put this thing in the bin, and my mum said to me, "You're not putting that in the bin, it's filthy." And I said, I didn't know what she meant. I thought, well, what do you mean it's filthy, but I'm putting it in the bin, so who cares if it's filthy, it's going in the bin. And I looked up at my mum, because bear in mind at the time I was probably about, I don't know, 5 foot tall, whatever, probably less than that if I was 8 years old. But anyway, I was looking up at my mum, and she looked like quite strange. She wasn't looking at me, she was kind of looking behind me or through me. It's kind of like if I look like that now, she kind of said to me, "Don't put that in the bin." And it's like she wasn't quite there. And I thought, I don't know what she's talking about. And she said, "Go to the bathroom and clean it, then put it in the bin." And I thought, okay, you don't question your parents, do you? When you're young, you think your parents know best. So I went to the bathroom, I washed this toy, and as I was washing it, I heard this almighty bang, like a crack, crack, crash, big crashing sound. So I ran out of the bathroom, and my parents were trying to force the door open to my bedroom. What had happened is they were calling my name, saying, "Paul, Paul, are you alright?" These shelves in my bedroom had collapsed and fell onto my bed. Now, of course, if I'd have been in my bedroom is very small, so the only place I would have been is sitting on the bed. It's like you walked in and there was a bed, and that's it. I had a really tiny bedroom. And they thought I was buried under the shelves. Now, I wouldn't have been killed, I would have been injured. I mean, there's a big, thick, heavy shelves, but they'd fallen down onto the bed. And I said to my mum, "It's a good thing you told me to go and wash that truck." And she had no idea what I was talking about. She said, "What truck?" And I said, "You told me to go and wash that toy truck. Why would I tell you to wash that?" And I said, "Well, you said I can't put it in the bin because it's dirty." And she laughed and said, "Well, what do you mean you can't put it in the bin because it's dirty? It doesn't make any sense." And she had no idea that she told me to go and wash this toy car. And that was the first weird thing. Not really that strange, I know. You might be thinking, "Oh, is that it?" That's just the first in a series of videos. Don't worry, things are going to get much darker and stranger as time goes by, as these videos go by. In the next video, I'm going to tell you about a time when me and a pupil seemed to go back in time on a driving lesson. Really weird, really bizarre. People have asked me what are my most memorable moments as a driving instructor, and without doubt, apparently going back in time with a pupil is definitely one of them. Hi everyone, and welcome to this second video in the series. Today I'm going to tell you about a time when me and a pupil seemed to go back in time on a driving lesson. Yeah, sounds odd, but let me tell you what happened. We were doing a driving lesson, and I said to the pupil, "Take the next road on the left." Now they accidentally took the second left by mistake, or I might have said second left and they took the first left, but I remember we went the wrong way and it wasn't the road that we planned to go down. Now this wasn't in Birmingham, it's just outside Birmingham, but I did used to work, I actually worked opposite this road, so I knew the area very well, and I grew up in this area, so I knew where I was exactly. And as I turned into the road, I was thinking to myself, I don't know where we are. And this is strange because I know all the roads for miles around my area. As you can imagine in my job, I go down them all the time. Now when you're a driving instructor, one thing you're trained to do, depending on who trained you, but I was taught quite well, and I was trained to never panic the people. Never let on to the people that you don't know what's going on. If there's a situation that's getting a bit dangerous or whatever, never let on that you're scared, otherwise it will make the people scared. Now I wasn't scared, but I didn't know where we were, and I was thinking we're lost. And the people said to me, you know what, I haven't got a clue where we are. And I said, well, yeah, the same. I said, I don't know where we are. And she said, I know this area really well. And I said, so do I. And we were both laughing about how we didn't know where we were. And we both began to notice something quite strange. The road was dead. No cars were moving. There were lots of cars parked on the pavement, but they all looked old, even though they were quite new with our new registration plates. They were all kind of grey and almost kind of covered in dust and cobwebs, and it looked like it's just weird, like we'd kind of gone into like a black and white world. Everything was in black and white, I remember that. There was no colour. It was kind of grey everywhere, black and white. And me and the people were driving around saying, this is a bit weird. And I remember I had the window slightly down. Now, normally, when you drive around anywhere by Birmingham, or on the edge of Birmingham, anywhere around this area, you're going to hear traffic. But even though I had the window down, you could hear nothing but bird song. And I said to my people, how weird. All I can hear is birds singing. And we were both laughing about how strange it was. There wasn't a car behind us. There wasn't a car in front of us. Everything was grey, and all we could hear was bird song. And I thought, I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know where we are. So I said, anyway, end of the road left. And end of the road left. There's this thing, if you don't know, about when you're lost. If you keep turning left, you'll always find your way out. That's one way you can beat mazes. If ever you do mazes like I like to do mazes, I like to go and explore mazes. If you put your left hand on the left wall and follow left, you'll always find the way, because a maze is simply a straight line that's been bent into shape. So if ever you're lost in a maze, follow the left wall. So I did that principle of following the left. And eventually we came out, and I'll never forget this. We came to the end of the road, and as we turned left, I saw a big red double-decker bus pulling into a depot, not a depot, like a terminus, like a crescent. This crescent shape in the road where the buses turn around. And suddenly, the sound of traffic came back, the colour came back, everything just went back to normal. Now, what I found quite odd, all that as if that wasn't odd enough, is when you become a driving instructor, you learn how to question people. So, for example, you don't say to someone, do you think that car looks red? Because otherwise they're more likely to say, well, yeah, because you've given them the colour, you've kind of given them the answer. So you would ask them, what colour do you think that car is? And I thought about how to phrase this question to the people. I can't remember exactly what I said, and what I say now may not be as well phrased as I said it then. But I said something about, you know, when we entered that road, where we both thought it was a bit funny, how long do you think it took us to travel from there to here? And I remember the people said 8 minutes. And I remember thinking, what, 8 minutes? I thought, she's crazy. I was thinking like 3, 4, maybe 5 at the most. It was quite a way. It was definitely a few minutes, but I wouldn't have said it was 8. And I looked at the clock, and I'd been watching the clock throughout this happening, and the clock was stuck on 1:33. We went all down this road, took about 5 minutes-ish, and the clock still said 1:33. And as soon as we came out the end of the road, the clock changed to 1:34. How weird was that? We seemed to lose time. We were both like in this grey, silent road with no one around us. And this was a summer's day, by the way. So it was a bright, hot summer's day. And it was like it was the middle of winter. It was grey. It wasn't cold, but it was kind of grey and murky. What happened? Where did the time go? Where did that 4 or 5 minutes go? The clock just froze. It was weird. It was like we jumped to a different dimension or something like that. It was weird. There may be a perfectly normal explanation, but I can't think of one. What made the colour go? What made the time freeze? Weird. Now, in tomorrow's video, I'm going to be telling you all about a time when I got attacked in a road rage incident. Now, you might think, what's that got to do with ghosts and supernatural stuff? You'll see in the video tomorrow. Hi everyone, so in this video I'm going to tell you about a strange event that happened when I was attacked in a road rage incident. Now, if you want to see this, there is actually the video online where you can watch me being attacked. Simply I was doing 20 down the 20 zone, the bloke behind didn't like it, so he got out and hit me in the face. You can watch that, there'll be a link on the screen now. However, there's quite a backstory to this that I've never told anyone. So what happened is, I went out to the car one morning and I remembered the night before I lost the memory card. Now I have these cameras in my car, little dash cams, and they have very small memory cards in micro SD cards, which, as you probably know, are about the size of a little thumbnail. They're very small cards. And I'd gone to get the card out to take some footage off the camera to make a video. As I pressed the memory card, it went ping, it went flying out into the car. And I thought, oh no. And this was the rear camera, so I knew it was in the boot somewhere. But I couldn't find it, and it started to rain, and I thought I'll find it in the morning. So I came out in the morning, I opened the boot, and I was looking for this memory card. And I was looking around the boot, and I picked up my coat that was in the boot. I lifted the back floor up of the boot. I looked everywhere, and I don't know where that card had gone. And I just could not find it. And it was still raining, and I just couldn't find this card. And I was getting really annoyed, because I used quite expensive memory cards. At the time, I can't remember how much it was, but I think I spent about £100 on this big memory card. This was a few years ago now, when they used to cost a lot more than they do now. You can get the same card for about £10 now. But anyway, I remember standing there, and I stood up and I said out loud, I don't know why I said it out loud because no one was around, but I just said, where's that damn memory card? And I heard a noise, like a kind of bip bip. So I looked down at my foot, and the memory card was on my foot. Now I wear these shoes, which are called loafers. I didn't even know that at the time, but they have like a flat surface with a little ridge on each side. So the memory card had landed on my shoe, bounced, and it was just sitting on my shoe. Now where that came from, I don't know. I wasn't moving, I was just standing still, and I just said out loud, where's that damn memory card? Bip, bip. And there it was. Where did that come from? And you might think, well, that's not very spooky, but the thing is, only about 9 minutes later, I was attacked in a road rage incident. And if I hadn't have had that memory card working in the camera, I wouldn't have been able to film it, and I wouldn't have been able to prove it, and nothing else would have happened. Without the memory card, the police said to me, without that footage, we wouldn't have been able to do anything, because it would have been your word against his. And you can't help thinking there's something kind of helped me there. It may not seem that spooky, but again, these videos are building up, and you'll see, when you've seen them all, you'll understand why all these things kind of tie in together. Where did that memory card come from? It's as though something was helping me, something was kind of saying, you know, you'll need this in a few minutes. And that was so weird. So again, it may not seem that spooky, but that's one of the spooky things that happened to me. Now, the next 3 videos, we're going to really crank up the spookiness, if that's the word. Now, in tomorrow's video, I'm going to tell you about the time when I actually met a ghost. I saw a ghost, and maybe that's the thing that's been helping me out over the years. Maybe not, but maybe. Hi everyone, and welcome to this video where I'm going to tell you about the time I saw a ghost when I was a kid. Now, this is something that really shaped my life. It's not really surprising, is it? If you have an event happen to you like this, it really changed the way I think about things. And it happened about 30 years ago now, but I can remember it as plain as day, as like it was yesterday. So here's what happened. I was at home and I was about 10 years oldish, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I was roughly 9, 10, somewhere around there. And my parents called up to me, do you want to come shopping with us? And I said, no, I'll be okay. And they was only going down the road. So, you know, this was back in the day when it wasn't like now you might be scared to leave kids on their own. The world was different back then. They just went out shopping and I was in the house perfectly safe. I was just reading a comic book on my bed. And anyway, I knew the house was empty apart from me. And I was upstairs and I'll never forget, I heard the TV come on from downstairs. And I thought, well, that's strange because I know no one's in. So I went downstairs. Now, I'll never forget this. It was on Sky, Channel 7. Now, remember, this was back in the 80s. It was a massive deal to have Sky. I think it was like early 90s, late 80s, somewhere around there. It was a big, big deal to have Sky TV. Not many people had it, not like now. Everyone's got Sky. Everyone's got a dish. Anyone can get it. Back then, it was a big thing. It was like, wow, you've got Sky. And I remember thinking, oh, it must be faulty because we'd only just had it installed. And I looked at the TV, and I always remember the picture I saw. It was a helicopter looking down on something like the Tour de France. It was some cycling event. I remember one of the riders had a yellow jersey on, and they were riding like diagonally up the screen like that from bottom left to top right. The camera angle was such they were riding up the screen. And I thought, that's funny, the TV's come on. So I picked up the remote, turned it off, put the remote down, and this is when the most incredible thing happened. I looked out the bay window and I saw what I could only describe as a massive white man. Now when I say white, I don't mean white as in my skin, as in like white and black and whatever. I mean white as in pure white. Imagine like me now, with no face, no nose, no eyes, just plain white like a piece of paper cut out in the shape of a man. And he must have been about 8 or 9 feet tall. He was absolutely huge. Because when I looked out the bay window, I looked up. Imagine you looking out a window. His head was so high up in the air, you couldn't even see it. All I could see was his arms. And he walked past the window like this. He went from left to right. So if I do it like this now, he was walking past the window and he moved very slow like this. And I'll never forget that. And I thought, what the hell was that? And I'll never know what happened. People say, was it a shadow? It wasn't a shadow because it was white. Shadows are black. It was a physical object. You couldn't see through it. It was solid like me. You can't see the wall behind me, but it was just pure white. It was like someone had got a massive cardboard cutout and was kind of walking it past the window, like for a joke. So I ran to the window and I looked left and right and I couldn't see anything. There was no one there. What happened? Now a few days ago I was out walking around my local town centre and they'd put these new road markings on the pavement, actually pavement markings I suppose you call them, and they've painted the shape of these little people. And I've been making a bit of fun of this over the last few days. On my community page on YouTube, I've been posting pictures of these white men, and someone said it looks like Slenderman. And I thought, you know what? That's what I saw when I was a kid. Now back then we didn't have this thing about Slenderman. If you don't know who or what Slenderman is, you can go and look that up separately. I'll put a link in the video perhaps. I don't think it was that. But it certainly was a massive 8 or 9 foot tall man, completely solid, walking, couldn't see through him. But I didn't feel scared. People often say, did you feel scared? I wasn't scared at all. I felt calm. I don't know what it was, but I'll never forget it. Now in tomorrow's video, I'm going to tell you about a time when I was saved from a massive car crash. Maybe by this white figure, maybe it's guardian angel, maybe it's got nothing to do with it. It might just be a complete coincidence. But yeah, I'm going to tell you about a very spooky thing that happened with a radio when I was driving. Hi everyone, so in this video I'm going to talk to you about a strange event that happened to me not long after I passed my driving test. It involves a radio and me almost being killed. Now what happened is, I was driving around on my own and I'd only been driving for I think less than a week, about 5 or 6 days at this time. And my car had been working fine, apart from the battery going flat and I had to change that. But anyway, my car radio was fine. I was driving around and I was really happy I passed my test. I was driving in these places. I won't say where this was, but I was driving in this place I'd always wanted to go. Not far from where I live, but it's somewhere you can't easily get to without a car. And anyway, I was driving down the road and I had the radio on. And suddenly the radio started making this horrific sound. Not just like crackling, but like a really, really loud, like white noise, but really loud, like why is that? It was hurting my ears, it was so loud. So I pulled over and I fiddled with the radio and it went back to being fine. So anyway, I just passed my test, so I did my mirrors, blind spot, moved off, no signal because no one was around. And I'll never forget what happened in front of me. Roughly 10 seconds down the road, this Mini come flying over crossroads. Now I'll never know if the driver just didn't care or didn't see it, but they went zooming like I did 50 over crossroads. If I'd have been hit by that car, I would have at least have been seriously injured, if not killed. And I began thinking, hold on a minute, if I hadn't pulled over to do that radio, I'd have been in the path of that car, because I took roughly 10 seconds-ish to tune the radio back, and it stopped me from being killed or written off at least. I'll never forget that, and it's something that stuck with me. Did someone help me that day? Was this again some kind of guardian angel or something? Because all my life I seem to have had this thing looking over me, helping me out. And I'll never forget that. And there's more to this story than that. Now, some of you may know who Derek Akora is, and I'll put a picture up on the screen now of me with Derek Akora. Now, I'm not going to get involved. I know what people are going to say. I'm not getting involved in all that. I'm just saying that many, many years ago, I was very much into following Derek Akora. And I actually wrote to him with this story. I emailed him, if you want to be precise. And if you want to read this book, which is Derek Akora's Amazing Psychic Stories, I can't show you for copyright reasons, but have a look on page 50 at the top left, and you'll see a story about a boy called Paul who was almost killed in his car one day, and that was me. And yeah, I've still got the original email I sent to Derek with that. Now, he did get it a bit wrong because it says something about lights and there were no lights. I don't know why that was. They probably just messed the story up. But that story in that book is about me. I'm quite proud of that because I made it into a best-selling book. But anyway, that's it for today. Now, in tomorrow's video, I'm going to tell you the spookiest thing of all. You might think, what could possibly be spookier than what I've told you? So far, I've been saved from death a few times. I've met a guardian angel. I've seen a ghost. I've travelled back in time, apparently. What could possibly match all that? Well, I've given you a clue there. And in tomorrow's video, you're going to hear something incredible. The most amazing thing that has ever happened to me in my life. Hi everyone, and welcome to this video where I'm going to tell you about the most incredible paranormal thing that ever happened to me in my life. I was 15 years old and we'd only just moved into this new house. I woke up one morning and I could smell burning. Now, I know this is going to sound really stupid, but because I was a kid, you know how kids think, I thought the neighbours don't like us and are trying to burn us out. I thought the neighbours had set fire to the house because they didn't like us, as daft as it might sound now. So anyway, I jumped out of bed, and as I stood up, I looked down and I just saw a match, you know, like a match that you strike from a box of matches, and it was hovering in mid-air, and I heard a noise go. The match blew out and landed on my foot. And I was just standing there thinking, what on earth just happened? And I picked the match up and it was still smouldering in my fingers as smoke was coming off the match. Now, how did that happen? There was no one else in the house, and even if there was, why would they have lit a match and dropped it on my bedroom floor? Right, how did no one has ever been able to explain what happened? The only explanation is people say, you're making it up. I'm not. I swear, I got out of bed, right, I looked down, I saw a match, I heard a noise go, the match dropped to the floor and landed on my foot, and it was smouldering. Now, I don't care what anyone says, that happened. And that's one reason I believe so much in paranormal stuff. You can laugh and you can say, oh, it didn't happen. It did. I know it happened and I was there. Now, sometimes people say, oh, you're making it up, or people often say, oh, it might have been a dream. Well, it wasn't a dream because about 30 years ago, well, not that long ago, but almost 30 years ago, this is the match that I've kept all that time. That's the actual match. Doesn't smell now, but if you look at this, that is a Boots actually not Boots, it's Superdrug plastic tin from the mid-90s. It's cracked and I've sellotaped it together. That's what I kept the match in, and I've always kept this match. Wouldn't it be strange if it burst into life now? There's no magic tricks here, it's just a match. And there you go, that is the actual match that fell on the floor. I've always kept it all these years, I don't know why. I like to think that somehow it's kind of a good luck charm, even though it nearly killed me. But I don't know, I've always kept it. There are these people that claim they can touch objects and tell you the history of them. They're kind of like people who claim they can, you know, go like this and they can tell the history of the match or whatever. I'd be fascinated if anyone could touch this and tell me where it came from. How did this little match appear in mid-air? No one has ever been able to explain this, and I'm not lying. I don't blame you. If you don't believe me, I wouldn't believe someone. If they told me this, I'd think, oh, what a load of rubbish. It happened. I know it happened. How on earth did this appear in mid-air, blew out, and landed on my foot? And actually, I haven't touched this match for years. I've had it in this box, and I've moved house. It's moved around with me. I've never actually touched it for years, but there it is. Where did you come from, little match? I've looked at it. There's no writing or anything on it. It's just a normal match. Where did it come from? Can anyone explain that? I've got no explanation for that whatsoever. People have said there's only two explanations. It's what you call an apport, which is when something appears in mid-air, or you're lying. I'm not lying, I can promise you that. I just want to know where this match came from. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed these few paranormal, if you want to call them that, videos I've shared with you. I don't blame you if you don't believe me. Like I said, I wouldn't believe someone. I've watched videos of people who say they've seen things and they've seen shadow people in the rooms. And the funny thing is, I don't believe them. Even though I've seen a ghost myself, and I've had a match appear, and I've travelled back in time or whatever that was, you know, I still don't believe these people. It's weird, because I've experienced things myself, and I still don't believe these people myself. But it does make you think, you know, I've had that happen to me. Maybe they're telling the truth. So I hope you've enjoyed this short series of videos. So as always, thanks for watching. Have a good time, and I'll see you again soon for more videos.